Street photography is one of the most rewarding and most challenging aspects of photography. You are not in control, but you could come out with outstanding photographs. You will let what's going on around you dictate the scene, the rhythm, and everything else. You're not in a studio. You're not in a place where you set up the light. You're not somewhere you can tell your model to adjust her pose or do something else. No, the world is happening right before your very eyes. It is extremely challenging, but it's also extremely exciting. And as a photographer with ADHD, I think that's one of the best challenges one may face, and one of the greatest sources of professional and artistic satisfaction. The two most important things when it comes to street photography are the location and the time of the day. There are so many great locations where you live, despite what you think. The most important thing is to find a place with a lot of action, which means it has to be a public space. A public space has three great characteristics. There's always a lot of people, it's a safe space, and most importantly, there's a lot of action. So what I would recommend is either a park, a road intersection, a point of entry, or a point of exit. Last but certainly not least, the laws say that in a public space it's perfectly fine to take pictures of people. It's best if it is a place people go for different reasons. In such a space you can see different types of people and many types of behaviors with lots of potential. There will be movement, different types of people, interesting situations, something that you can easily catch with your camera. Because remember, the defining of street photography is that you have no control on what's happening. But the most important thing is that the space must be safe. It has to be safe for you. You must feel it is. It's a place where you're not risking. And when I say risking, I'm not talking a physical risk, but also risking, as it is in the case of ADHD, that your brain starts spinning. So what we're going to do right here will be setting a series of easy steps to follow, so that all you have to do is to focus on the only thing that really matters. Take great, interesting, and artistic pictures. In order to find an actual safe space, you should look for a place where you can easily see what's going on around you, and where you can find an easy way out should anything happen. It has to be a public space. Never look for a semi-private or a private space. Not only you will run the risk to break a lot of laws, but in case something happens, you will feel absolutely at risk. In a public space, it is perfectly okay to take pictures of people and things. I live in New York, and the first place that I can think about is Central Park. Some people may say Times Square, but Times Square is a very, very crowded place. There are thousands of people all around you, and that can make you feel uncomfortable. And that's why I chose Central Park for this video. But remember, whichever public space works. When I am in Central Park, my favorite place for pictures is the Bethesda Terrace and fountain. It gives me so many different places where I can easily take interesting pictures. The first one is the actual terrace. I like going to the very edge of the terrace, where I can always enjoy a beautiful view of the fountain and the space before it, as well as the beautiful statue, the Angel of the Waters. For this type of shoot, I usually use zoom like a 70-200, though sometimes I also carry a 150-600. The most interesting part of being there is that you can take great pictures of the people near the fountain without being noticed. I think not being noticed is a great thing because nothing is more interesting than people when they do not know they're actually photographed. Their expressions are always sincere, and so many interesting situations always come out. When I shoot from the terrace, what I generally do is going to one end on the far left or the far right. I can easily lean on the wall and get ready with my camera. Then I take a look of what's happening around the place left, right, high, low. And whenever I see something interesting, it's then I start putting the camera to my eyes. Never before that, always when I see something great's happening. The settings are extremely important. Remember, it is street photography. You have no control over the people and the environment. So you absolutely need to know your camera will do a great job and won't fail you. And the best way to do that is to set the camera in Aperture Priority with Auto ISO. I know many people will object here. They say Auto ISO is not a good way, the ISO will be too high, that will create a lot of noise. But hey, we are not in a studio. We are not in a place where we can stop, check, verify, and take another picture. We are not in an environment we can control. The whole world is happening before our very eyes. If we do not take that picture, that moment is lost forever. That's the reason why Auto ISO helps. And by the way, today's photo editing tools are so great that the last thing you really should be concerned about is noise. So forget about the noise. It's just another excuse, and for ADHD brains, something that will totally throw you off center. I suggest Aperture Priority because all you have to do is just to think about the aperture. The camera will take care of everything else. And when it comes to Auto ISO, there's also something else you need to consider. My cameras are Canon, but I am pretty sure this applies to every other brand as well. Whenever you're using Auto ISO, you should also consider checking another setting so that you are sure your pictures will be sharp and in focus. Set a minimum shutter speed. As an example, if I'm using a 70 to 200 lens and Auto ISO, I set my shutter speed at 1/250 of a second. That will allow my pictures to be sharp. And don't worry, if that setting cannot be achieved, the camera will compensate. So that's another great thing, something you don't have to be concerned about. Here is the most important question. How can I find a great place for street photography? Okay, we said it has to be a public space. It has to be a space where there is a lot of action. But how can I actually choose one place? Well, it is so much easier than you expect. Because what you simply have to do is use Google Maps. For instance, let's get back to the Central Park example. I will type Central Park, New York on Google Maps. And then when Maps finds Central Park, I will zoom. I will reach the Bethesda Terrace and Bethesda Fountain. And this is where things get so exciting. I activate the Street View tool. Street View allows you to see a place without actually being there. So thanks to Google Maps and Street Views, you can really browse around the place. See different viewing angles so that you can choose an actual place. When you get there, you quickly settle down and start shooting. So great place, check. Time of the day. Now the time of the day can be challenging, as you know, the position of the sun changes during the day. And don't worry, there are so many apps that will actually tell you where the sun is at a certain time of the day. I, for instance, use an app called Sun Tracker. It is free and it works exceptionally well. It tells me exactly the position of the sun with regard to certain spaces throughout the entire day. You have the place, you have the time of the day, you go there, settle down, you take a look around, and when you're ready, you take your picture. Remember, my recommended settings are Aperture Priority with Auto ISO, with a minimum shutter speed that's higher than the maximum length of the lens. And now comes the most interesting thing, the thing that can really make a huge difference. On your mobile phone, set a timer, and when the time comes to an end, pack your bags and leave. No, you don't have all the time in the world. If you want to take great pictures, you must be focused, and a time constraint is the best thing. Try it. You will see how different your work will be. Use a very limited time. That will help you focus. So many things happen in 10 seconds. You won't be able to photograph them all. So decide in advance how long your session will be. My general time is between 24 and 36 minutes. You may wonder why I use this very unusual time settings. It's because whenever you say 20, 25, or 30 minutes, your brain may end up tricking you and say, no, it's not 20, it's 25, it's not 25, it's 30. If it's 24 or 36, you have fooled your brain before your brain fools you. So what are you waiting for? In the next video, I will show you one more trick, something that will make your street photography even better and even easier. Thanks for staying with me. Remember to like this video, subscribe, and activate the bell. See you next time.